Meanwhile, in what is considered mid-latitude regions, some of the cities there have got another thing coming, and that thing that's coming is hurricanes in the near future. And what do you think is responsible? You know, it's the damage report. It's climate change. So cities that have not historically had to deal with hurricanes, or only very rarely had to deal with them, could soon experience worse and more common hurricanes. This includes major population centers such as New York, Boston, and Shanghai. So like, just imagine New York frequently having to deal with hurricanes. These cities are not made for those sorts of weather events. It is going to be devastating. And so this is coming about as a result of research in a new study from Yale's Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences. They noted that hurricanes in the 21st century will appear in a wider range of latitudes than they have for the last 3 million years. And Joshua Studholm says this represents an important underestimated risk of climate change. It was another scientist. Well, the explanation for this is complicated, and you can certainly find out. It has to do with something called the Hadley cell and the way that air moves at different heights above the Earth's surface. But largely, it is a product of the fact that the difference in temperature from different latitudes around the Earth's surface is becoming smaller than it once was. And that is having an effect on weather systems, including the jet stream, which is going to travel further north. That will then produce extreme weather events further north. The science is there and it's interesting. You should look it up, but that's my simple elementary school version of it, basically.
And you know what? That's your elementary school version of it. And sorry, you had more, but that's just the problem. That's the elementary school version of it and the existence and reasons why what we need to do something different. But the problem is just that elementary school explanation. People will go, oh, these smart scientists trying to tell me what to do. We tune out when someone says something that we aren't familiar with and we can learn from, and we get mad and oppose it. That's been the push. That's been the move.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to write a script. It's going to be set in Manhattan, where water is 8 feet above the level of the roads, and I'm calling it "Don't Paddle." It's like, because you don't want to acknowledge it's happening, you just sink below the surface. If you paddle, then the libs win, you know? Anyway, so one of the scientists involved in this says some of the most populous seaside cities in the world, think New York, Tokyo, Shanghai, and so forth, are not deep in the tropics. They're a little bit further away. They always have had hurricanes, but very rarely. If they start getting more hurricanes, and if they're stronger, and if they're pushing water on top of an already elevated sea level, that's going to be trouble for them. And I love, like, it will be so devastating, and they're calling it trouble for them. Like the flooding of Manhattan, like buildings toppling. It's gonna be great. So anyway, we're already starting to see the beginnings of this. In 2020, subtropical storm Alpha made landfall in Portugal, the first time a subtropical or tropical cyclone had ever hit the Western European nation. So exciting weather coming to a city potentially near you.
Yep, and if people who don't live in those cities, or many people who do, the problem is if it's not me, who cares?
Yeah, and by the time it is you, it's kind of too immediately late to do anything about it. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.